Hey YouTube, LuCKyy here from the lab, and today I'm going to bring you a video where I'm going to show you my keybinds on PC, and I'm also going to show you my key mapping for my SCUF controller when I play on console or PS4, and that same thing would apply to any Xbox player that plays on console as well. So I'm going to put a timestamp up on the screen right here, and if you guys are a console player, if you're looking for my key mapping on SCUF, on my SCUF impact, you can go to that timestamp in the video and you can watch there. If you're a PC player and you want to know my keybinds, you can just go ahead and stay right here because I'm going to jump right into it. So the first thing I'm going to go over is that my weapon swapping, there's not a ton of different weapon swapping in this game, so I don't actually use the conventional 1, 2, 3, and 4. I actually just use Q and E. And so Q is my primary and E is my special ammo weapon, I guess. Obviously that switches between whether or not you have, a hand cannon in your energy slot, or if you have, vice versa, a shotgun in your kinetic slot. But regardless of whether that, I don't switch my keybinds. I just try to remember which way it goes. For the most part in Crucible, I use kinetic hand cannons. So Q is my kinetic slot and E is my energy slot. And that works pretty well for me. And I actually reach up and I push 3 with my index finger. And I really like that. That works excellent for me. If it works differently for you, you go ahead and do it that way. But for me, that actually works really great. I really like, I can push Q and E extremely fast. I don't have to reach or extend my fingers too far. But again, teach their own, however you want to do that. R is to reload, just like most games would have that. And F is for super. And so it's pretty easy to push that. And X is for melee. And so I reach down and push X again with my index finger. So my keybinds are basically set that my index finger does a lot of work. It does most of the work. And that's really comfortable for me. I feel like I have a lot of flexibility and good movement with my index finger. And my ring finger doesn't do a ton of work. It just pushes A and Q and doesn't do much else other than that. So it feels really good for me. It feels really easy. If I were to play a game like Fortnite that has a ton more keybinds necessary to play, I would probably do things differently. But since Destiny is pretty simple, I stick to just these keybinds. I also do have Z set, which is what my ring finger will push. So my ring finger actually pushes A, Q, and Z. And Z is set to just emote. I change it throughout, whatever emotes are new or fresh and mix it up. But emoting can be really important in Crucible, especially if you're playing comp. Sometimes you got to emote to peek around the corners and stuff like that. So I do have Z set as my emote. To sprint, I use shift. And so I'm just holding down shift and that works like that. And then left control is crouch. And my grenade is actually set to left alt. And so that one can actually be a little bit problematic. I'm probably going to end up changing that keybind maybe here soon. The new Warlock has that charge up grenade, and holding down left alt can be a little bit awkward. So I might actually swap that out, but for the most part, that's what my keybinds are on my keyboard. On my mouse, I just have 2 buttons, and then I use the scroll wheel. The 2 side buttons are interact, and it says C here, but it's actually double keybound. It's actually on my mouse button right now. And so I really think that having interact on your mouse button is helpful because I can interact while I move both left and right. But if I were to have, let's say F was interact, I would not be able to push the D button at the same time as pushing the F button. So I really think that having your mouse side button, if you have side buttons on your mouse, I suppose, works extremely well for that. And then my class ability, because I played Hunter for a long time, my class ability is also set to my second mouse side button. And that is extremely important, especially if you're playing a Hunter. You can't put it on your keyboard unless you're able to very comfortably push the class ability button and move all 4 different directions, so WASD, and be able to use your class ability, because sometimes you need to use your class ability and move to the side, and you don't want to be using the same finger for class ability as it is to use for WASD, so that way you can move any direction with your class ability. It doesn't matter as much if you're a Titan or a Warlock. And I am a Titan lately, so it's not really that big a deal, but every time I go back to Hunter, it feels absolutely awful if I have class ability set to anything else. So that's what I use. And then my scroll wheel is set to jump, and that's obviously for Titan skating. I set scroll down for jump, and I'm using a Hunter right now, so I can't really demonstrate it, but I'm just using the scroll wheel right now. And there's 2 keybinds allowed for every single keybind in the game, so I use spacebar as one of them. This is me pushing spacebar. And then this is me using the scroll wheel. And I think it's really good to have both if you're a Titan, so that way you can both, skate and go fast, and you can also cancel the jump by using spacebar, or even just do a nice slow control jump by using spacebar instead of just Titan skating everywhere at all times. And so That's up to you though, how you choose to use your keybinds. That's what I do. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. I'm always extremely open-minded when it comes to my keybinds. I'm totally all ears if you guys think that there's ways of doing things more efficient, more beneficial. I'll gladly listen, and let me know what you think. Moving on now to the console section, or the controller section. This isn't just for console players. If you play on PC and use a controller, this would apply to you as well. I'm using a SCUF Impact, and I'll show you guys exactly what my keybinds are. I'm going to go into a different video format for that though. Alright, so here I am now with my controller in hand. I have my SCUF Impact here. My SCUF Vantage is in the mail as I'm recording this video, and essentially I'm going to give over my layout of what I use when I'm using a controller. I actually have the right thumbstick elevated. This is supposedly give you a little bit better aim. You know, you have a little more range of movement so that we can aim a little more precise when you're using a controller. I highly recommend that. I find that to be extremely helpful and an awesome feature. The paddles on the back are going to be, these ones are a little bit easier accessible, the ones on the outside, so I use that one for jump on one side, and I use the other one for revive on that one, and I use jump and triangle on these two, so essentially X and triangle, and then square on this one. And the other button, circle, isn't as big a deal, so I pretty much just focus on those three, and I put both of them on my right hand because I'm right-handed, and so I find that to be extremely useful. And the reason why a SCUF Vantage or SCUF Impact is so helpful is because if you're playing on PC, for example, you would never want to set a keybind where you would take your hand off the mouse, right? You would never set a keybind where you take your hand off the mouse. How awkward would it be if you're playing on PC, right? And you have a keybind here. I have a bunch of different mice here. You have a keybind set here where instead of left click to fire, you have, you know, this right arrow key to fire. Like, you're running around aiming, and then you just click that really quick. You let go of your mouse. Like, that would be really awkward. Like, you would never want to do that. That would not be a good keybind. And so, in the same way, you know, using a controller and taking your right thumb off of the thumbstick, this is where you aim. This thumbstick is essentially the mouse conceptually, and so you never want to take your hand off the mouse because that's where you're aiming. And the same thing with the controller, you never want to take your thumb off of the thumbstick, and so you don't want to do this. You don't want to push any of these buttons with your thumbstick. You want to have leave your right thumb on this thumbstick at all times, so that way your aim is always ready. You're always ready to reposition yourself, turn around if necessary, adjust your aim up or down. You never want to take your aim off the thumbstick. So I find that this controller, the Impact, or any controller that has paddles for that matter, I just use the SCUF Impact because I'm sponsored by them, #sponsored, and discount code LAB. And so I find myself using this because it's so much better than using a default controller. And honestly, the fact that it was even a model is set up where you actually take your thumb or you take your hand off of the aim for even just a split second is a really bad model. This is not very good. I would highly recommend to not do that. If you can't afford to get a SCUF Vantage or Impact, I would highly recommend it for PS4. That's just the console that I play on mostly, but again, teach their own. Not everyone can afford that, and you might have to take your thumb off there, and that's fine for the time being. But it is a great advantage, in my opinion, to be able to leave your thumbs on the thumbsticks at all times, just in the same way that you would never take your hand off of the mouse while you're playing any game with mouse and keyboard. So those are my keybinds. This is how I do things. I have trigger stops on here as well, which I find to be really nice. If you found this video helpful at all, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for more, follow our live stream on twitch.tv/LuCKyy and BW, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.